Hey guys, how the hell are you? So today is list day. So being that it's the end of 2019, now is the perfect time to talk to you guys about what my favorite album from the past year was. But first, I want to talk to you guys about all of the runners up. This is Arnold Plays Guitar's top 10 albums of 2019. Starting off with number 10, which is Fleshgod Apocalypse's Veleno record. I really love a lot of the new Italian death metal that's been coming out lately because it is so fucking extreme. Like, just ridiculous tempos, intricate but not like techie kind of riffage. Just very extreme right on through. And Fleshgod Apocalypse, like, man, I didn't really... The last record didn't quite grab me the way that the record that preceded it did, but this new record to me sounds like a band that's back on fucking track. And the fact that Francesco Paoli is on guitar and vocals now, kind of like back in the day, like when he was the vocalist for Hour of Penance, he was a fucking kick-ass vocalist for that band too. Like, this is just awesome. Awesome to have him be in the frontman position. He kind of always was the band leader, but now to hear him in front of the band, just pummeling the listener with his voice, with his riffage, it's so fucking good. Number 9, gotta go with Empath from Devin Townsend. Now, this is a record that has divided a few fans. I know myself, I loved the last few Devin Townsend project releases, and I was worried that this was going to veer off in some weird territory, and to a certain extent it kind of does, but at the same time it still retains that sort of flair and drama that we love from Devin's music. It's very impactful. It's very emotive, and kind of runs the gamut. I mean, you get all sorts of different vibes from this music. Some really long, epic songs on this record too, and it's just a very moving record, but still super heavy, super catchy. Definitely deserves to be on this list. Number 8, we've got to go with a band called Hath and their record of Rot and Ruin. Wow, was this an extreme record. Definitely one of the first records of the year that really kind of set the tone for the whole rest of the year. There was a lot of great extreme music that came out this year. Really brutal shit, slightly dissonant stuff, slightly techie stuff, but a lot of super extreme death metal. This is definitely one of those ones that kind of really hits you hard. Just pummeling riffage. Every so often they get down to like a dirgy or almost sludgy kind of tone when they vamp on a riff a little bit. But all in all, just, extreme, brutal, fast-paced. Just a great, solid fucking record from them. Next, coming in at number 7, Beast in Black's new record was phenomenal. From Hell with Love, yeah, it's got kind of a schlocky title. It's got even schlockier cover art. But that's the thing. This is kind of like some really cool, but yet still sort of basic power metal stuff. It's meant to be a little hokey. It's meant to be a little cheesy. But at the same time, god damn, is there some solid musicianship and even more solid songwriting on this record. I loved the debut record, and I had really high hopes that they would come out with just a killer sophomore record, and they did not disappoint. Bonus points for some of the bonus tracks that are included on some versions of the album. I've been waiting forever for somebody to do that Robert Tepper song as a heavy metal cover. I'm so happy that I finally got to hear it. Number 6, Belzebubs. Now, some of you guys might call me out on this, but it is essentially a fake band. It's essentially a studio project that is meant to go along with an actual cartoon called the Belzebubs that, well, I'm not gonna dive into it here. Just look them up. It's fucking funny is what it is. But the record is such a fucking solid symphonic black metal record. Definitely in the vein of like kind of latter era Dimmu Borgir, but in my opinion a lot better. It's some extremely great songwriting, some killer performances. I kind of wish I knew all the musicians that were involved, but they kind of keep that a sort of secret. But goddamn, it's a nice, catchy record with some great riffage. If you're into bands with that sort of epic symphonic black metal feel, like Dimmu Borgir, Stormlord, to a certain extent, even Old Man's Child, even Emperor a little bit, you know, it's just a killer record, regardless of the fact that it's a fake band. Number 5, that killer Heart Like a Grave record from Insomnia. Man, that thing, start to finish, not a bad tune on it. If you've heard Insomnia before, you know exactly what you're getting into. It's stuff that is extremely melodic death metal. They've got a new guitar player / second vocalist on board with Yanni, the former guitar player from Sonata Arctica. I still hold true that when he left that band went pfft. So it's very nice to hear him in a very kick-ass unit like Insomnia. Insomnia has never been bad, ever. And in my opinion, he's only adding to the charm that is this like super heavy, yet somehow somber and melodic death metal group. It's fucking phenomenal. Number 4, Vitriol. To Bathe from the Throat of Cowardice was such a killer record. There again, all killer, no filler. There again, tons of great, super extreme, intricate, and just go for the throat death metal this year. Vitriol was definitely a record that I was waiting for. It did not disappoint in the fucking slightest. And it's extreme for the sake of being extreme sometimes. And that's part of the charm of that record. So if you like your death metal as fucking ridiculous and unrelenting as possible, that new Vitriol record, if you haven't heard it, you're fucking sleeping on it. Speaking of extreme for the sake of extreme, but in this case on a different wavelength altogether, kind of a latecomer to this list, that new Cattle Decapitation record. Holy shit, mind blown. Like, this is a band that, like, they've sort of eschewed their more traditional death metal riffage from the past. And yeah, there's a little bit of that there. There's some black metal tremolo picking. There's some slam riffs. There's some chug riffs. But the thing that really gets you going about this band is the big rock riffs that come in out of nowhere in a death metal context. And it's like, wow, this is, in my opinion, kind of the pinnacle about how catchy death metal can really be. Great fucking record, some incredible music on there. Some of my favorite Cattle Decapitation tunes of all time are on this new record. Definitely recommend checking that out. Finally, we're getting down to it. Okay, this next record was something that, you know, this band, I've loved this band forever. And it's one of those things where, as much as I've loved this band, they've had hits and misses along the way. But dude, that new Mayhem record is definitely deserving to be up there super high on my end of year list. So that is number 2. Damon was such a killer, damn near perfect black metal record. It's Mayhem getting back to their prototypical self, just laying fucking waste to everything with prototypical, you've heard them once, you've heard them a million times, black metal riffage, but proving that if anyone can do it still and still sound kick-ass and interesting while doing it, it's these guys. Add to that, vocalist Attila Shahar, he's just letting it all out here. He's got the fucking shrieks going on. He's got the operatic sort of chanting going on. And it just lends itself to a crazy atmosphere on a record with just unrelenting riffage. Just, murderously good, that new Mayhem record. And finally, the album that just fucking knocked me on my ass early on in the year, and it was not able to be topped at all, no matter how many great records came out. Adore by Numenorian is an insane record. First of all, post-black metal, so already a lot of people might not be willing to give it a shot. Highly recommend you do. You definitely hear influences coming from all over the place. There's a little traditional heavy metal in there. There's a little bit of death metal and melodeath that's in there. There's definitely, there's an extremely high amount of black metal influence in there. There's also a little teeny tiny bit of sort of ambient indie that's in there, maybe some shoegaze, maybe even some progressive metal that's in there. More modern stuff, you know, that really ethereal, atmospheric kind of vibey stuff, man, that's been coming out. But it all comes together in this crazy, awesome record. The songs are super catchy. The riffing, man, like, I described this band to someone earlier on in the year. I said, you need to check this band out. And he said, why? And I said, because you're a huge Gojira fan. Imagine if Gojira was to make post-black metal. That's kind of what you got here. So you've got a band that's not afraid to sort of veer off a little bit, do the crazy like pick scrapes and, you know, weird sound effects in the riffage, you know, killer riffs for the sake of killer riffs, but they all blend together and create this great atmosphere from start to finish. Some killer songs on this record. Like, it was actually tough to create my Song of the Year list because of this record, because there's so many great tunes on this record that I loved listening to over and over and over again. It's all of these things coming together for kind of a perfect album. Like, I love it. It's killer, and if you haven't heard Adore by Numenorian yet, you are missing the fuck out. You need to go check out this record. So that's it for me. That's all I've got. That is my top 10 records of 2019, and I will see you in 2020, motherfuckers.